Welcome to Pitch Point, brought to you by Media 3, where we maximize signal in short interviews to interview Web3 projects. So be sure to subscribe. I'm your host, Max, co-founder of Cardano's Infinite Timeline, ADA Moments. Today, we're speaking to Davide and Luca, who are looking for Catalyst funding to build a Web3 football game. Let's dive in. Fantastic. Davide and Luca, thanks for being here to present your proposal on the Web3 Football Manager game. This is a short, no-nonsense format where we ask you to keep it tight and maximize signal and not noise. So we're going to give you 2 minutes to do your pitch, and we'll follow that up by 8 to 10 minutes of questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, I want to start with a small description of what we want to achieve. We just want to build the first decentralized blockchain-based football manager game. It will be a game that joins such an enthusiast in a community where you can train your NFT players, hire the necessary specialists, scout for new youngsters that can become the future champion. The difference between this game and other Web3 games is that we don't want to make a play-to-earn game. We see that a lot of games now are taking this direction, but we don't really like this way of making business because, in our opinion, the main goal for a game should be for the players to have fun and not to find different revenue streams. So we want just to focus on that, to build a great game that people can really enjoy over time. In our game, you build and coach a club over time, competing with other human players all around the world. It means that you don't have to spend much time every day to manage your football team. You just define your strategy. Then you can connect and see how things are going. You define your training strategies. You just to see which players you have, if you want to buy or train new other players. And in the long term, you will build a powerful team based on the characteristic of your players or your game assets. So the main thing of our game is that we want to give back the main reason for NFT to exist. NFT should be at the basic of the best thing about NFT is that they give proof of ownership about a digital asset, and everything else is something that we build on top of it. So NFT are not just pictures of monkeys that you can trade. They are not just a way to sell art. It's really something that you can associate you as a owner to something that is digital. In our case, a football player is a digital thing that you really own, and the players should be the real owner. They spend a lot of time because in our game is mostly in real time. So it means that there will be an official match every Sunday, like the original football. So it means that people usually play this kind of game for a very long time, even years, and we think that is the only way possible to have this working is that the player of the game really own the asset. They can decide what to do with them in any time. So if they want to sell them for profit, is not our business. We just want to make sure that they have fun playing our game. So that's mostly the short pitch that I want to share.
Super. Yeah, thanks. And just to understand a little bit here, so it's about like what is a game that's similar to it? Like you have these games called Football Fantasy, right? And is it also going to be based on real world data, or is this like what is the engine?
Yeah, we want to build it using the Godot game engine. It's an open source game engine that is taking a lot of traction lately, and we both, me and Studio Evil, have a lot of experience with that. In the previous Catalyst round, I built a plugin to interface the Godot game engine with the Endmaker API so that you can easily build Web3 games without knowing nothing more than that. You just call the function you need. So taking this experience that we have, I think that it would be the most straightforward solution for the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic, right? That you guys have already had experience with building an open source SDK together with the Endmaker, and now applying that to this game. So this is a football game on Cardano. What makes it the right time to launch that now? And do you think, is it required to have football fans on Cardano, or Cardano community members who are already football fans? How do you look to reach your market?
Well, you are Dutch, we are Italian, so we know very much, very well how football is important in our countries, and not only there, but it's probably the most famous game in the history, So we think that is a good way to start this kind of adventure, and the idea of using digital asset for that is really, I think, the most precise, because a football manager, where you are supposed to play real time, means that you really need to get a relationship, in some kind with your own assets. You see them growing over time, so you get aficionated to them in somehow. So using digital asset for this, I think, is the real difference with all the other games. And football is for sure the thing that can attract more enthusiasts, and having them looking into Web3 as a different kind of strategy for the games they want to play.
Also, if you can add something,
Sure.
we're basically self-publishing our games on PC consoles, and since 2011. So we do have some experience in how to reach the target, how to reach streamers, which are of course the key point for reaching all our target. And we really think that our experience together, so Davide's experience in managing crypto and Cardano and all those kind of things, our experience in making games and reaching the players will be a good fit for the project.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, and on that, I mean, one of the big challenges that you hear about with games that are driven in part or completely by NFTs or Web3 is the onboarding aspect, right? So that's something that of a hurdle, right? When gamers are required to make some kind of Web3 account or some new kind of account where they can manage their assets. Do you guys have any particular strategy or ideas around that, or to how to overcome that?
Well, if I may, we know that every kind of game, every different kind of game, have problems, let's say, with onboarding, depending on the kind of game. And of course, having this kind of Web3 game adds a step to the ladder you have to take. But if you treat the onboarding on Cardano like every onboarding in the game through a tutorial inside the game and not before the game, so you don't have really to start making, let's say bureaucracy things like opening your wallet and doing these kind of things before playing, but you get you into play and then let you smoothly go through a transition where you get into the Cardano part and all the Web3 part. That's a way better, because you're already hooked by the game. You love the game, you want to play it more, and you get step by step to get to the Web3 things.
Exactly. Lucas said a very, very important thing. We would like to have this process as much as transparent as possible, so people don't even have to know that they are using a blockchain under it. They own the asset, but the good about the Maker API is that they offer a solution for almost everything. So you can also use managed wallets that the people really doesn't really need to know that they're using them. So you can just create a managed wallet for every player and put the asset there, and you can offer a simple way to retrieve them and send it aside. But for many of the people, probably this is something that don't even need to check in the beginning, and something they maybe be interested to do after a few years if they want to do using different way to trade the asset, if they want to sell the players or the specialist to somebody else. But for the most part, people just access the game as it was in a normal game. And I think that is very important for transparency and to make life easier for regular games that are approaching this new Web3 behavior and possibilities. Yes.
Okay, and then diving a little bit into the proposal itself. So you've asked for 150K ADA, and you've outlined some milestones here that are quite clear. But can you maybe just walk us through a couple at the start? Because I suppose one of the key things you need to discover is, how people are interacting with the game itself or enjoying the game itself in the context of Web3. Is there something you can share about that? Like, are you doing some iterative process? Would you want community involvement, and how would you get that?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, as I mentioned before, we are competing in the concept category, so we want to build a prototype of the game to see how people are accepting it, if people are interested in playing it, and to see if they can become a self-sustainable business without the need to ask for more money in other categories. No? So the first thing we want to do is to prepare a precise game document of the project, so that it will be published and everybody can check it out and can also provide suggestions and improvements. This is the first milestone that we want to achieve. So having a clear idea of what we want to produce in the next following 5 to 6 months. And starting from that, we will start the real implementation to have a playable prototype. In the proposal, I mentioned that we will have also arcade parts of the game, because I think it's very important that people can have fun from the start, so they can play with other friends and to see how the players behave. Mm-hmm. So that's something that we want to achieve in milestone 3 and 4 mostly. While the other milestone is to complete the project and glue everything together, the management and the arcade parts, so that everything will be ready to see how it will work for the players, and we will be ready to transform the prototype in a polished, published golden game.
Okay. And just on, you mentioned also you wanted to be financially viable. Can you say anything about the revenue model of the game itself? What is your vision on that?
Yeah, we have a couple of ideas for having revenue streams for the games. The most important one is probably the royalties on the NFTs. So we don't want to create, this is something that I really don't like for many games that are now about to be released. They're pretty famous now in our ecosystem. Usually, a lot of companies create those huge NFT collections that they start selling years before the game is published, and they sell them for quite important amount of money. We don't want to do that. We want to have NFTs that can be minted or requested from the players. We want the players to grow their players, their specialists, with training and time and experience, and then we want to have give them the freedom to do whatever they want to them, and we want to have a small cut in case we want to sell. They want to sell the asset, in a royalty form. So that will be the main revenue stream. But other thing that we can do with that, having also the arcade part that will be prominent in the game, is also to have advertisement in like you see in every football match. And I think this can be something different that can attract more business-oriented entities.
Okay, well, if you need me to call Heineken, you let me know when the game is there.
Nice.
Last question here is on the open source part. So, with Godot, you already did a lot. Do you foresee any part of this proposal as well, the development that you do, parts being open source, or is that beyond the scope?
Yeah. As you probably already know, I'm quite an open source nerd. I'm using Linux right now. I'm always working with open source tools in all my life. So yes, I really like that. I really want to have as many parts of the game published open source as possible. But there is, of course, some caveats in that. We cannot, being a football manager game, being a manager game in specific, we cannot have everything published out, because that will mean that people can see, and the most skilled people can see how the training works, how the strategy works inside the game, so they can have an advantage doing that. No, and having everything open source in this case means that you can remove one of the most exciting parts of a football manager game or a manager game in general. So people need to adapt to changes and find a strategy that they like more. So if those parts of the backend are making open source, they probably will remove one of the most important part. So we want to publish as many tools as possible, as many parts of the game as possible as open source, but we will leave out this part of the backend to avoid unfair competition for some players.
Okay.
Maybe you already know that also in the past, in the previous Catalyst proposals, there were some stuff that I published as part of my previous proposal to have open source tools for game developers. So there was something similar to the Godot plugin also for Unity that I made available for a few years. So this is something that I really want to continue, want to provide and give back to the community as much as possible.
Super. And I mean, lastly, where can people follow along on the development, and maybe if you have, just where they can reach you as well if they have questions? Yeah.
Probably for the time being, the easier way to reach me out is my X account, so they can just reach me out there, write in a PM. As soon as we have the result of the Catalyst proposal, we will eager to have a website, a dedicated X account, and a Discord server for our game, so that we can bring the community inside the game and provide their insights and suggestions to make a better game.
Okay, super. And what is your X account?
You can find me at the Studio Malacca. That is the game, the way I publish my previous games. So they can find me there. Okay, also, super. If you can reach me out in the Discord server of the European Cardano community, I'm one of the founding team members, so I'm always there for everybody to chat.
Super. Okay, well, fantastic. Luca, Davide, thanks so much for coming on PitchPoint and sharing your proposal.
Thank you for hosting us.
Wish you all the best, and let's be in touch.
I really looking forward to meet you in Amsterdam very soon. I always return back to the Netherlands at least twice per year because I have a lot of friends there after having spent so much part of my life there.
Well, we'll need to have a meeting with the Heineken marketing team, right? When the project
launches,
and we'll get together.
Okay, you're in.
All right, Luca, Davide, thanks so much.
Thank you, Max. Thank you for hosting us. Bye.